So hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Ames's Corner. How you all doing out there? So yeah, spring is pretty much on us. I don't know if you guys can tell. It's a beautiful day outside, nice and sunny, 60 degrees. So I think it's I've been itching to get the superscoot out and ride it. We did all that work to it, repowering it. I did a little work after I shut the cameras off. We'll take a look at that. But the superscoot at the moment is way up in the balcony. The only access we have, really only have two ways: a step ladder or the forklift. So yeah, we gotta dig that out. But I took a drive yesterday up to see Charlie, the person I got the Sonnet from, and I paid him what I owed him for the Sonnet. Excellent. I want to thank you guys because you made that happen. The revenue I make from YouTube completely paid for the Saab Sonnet. So scores. And while I was up there, because I had a couple of extra bucks, I figured I'd take home a classic Motobecane 50V Mobylette. Let's even get the side covers on it. There we go. Nice looking bike. You guys might remember this bike. It actually, I had this bike 2 or 3 years ago. We picked it up, and I did a video on it. If I remember, I'll put a link to that video where we first looked at this bike and another one down in the description. But yeah, let me get it out. We'll take a good look at it. I got a couple of parts boxes we'll take a look in. So yeah, I'm gonna get this thing out of the Saab. Alright guys, I got this thing unloaded. Take a look at it. It's in really decent shape for how old it is. It's being a 1979. This will be like this is variated, which means the engine pivots on these motors to change the gear ratio. Real unique system. Not very unlike the drive system of the superscoot, which is kind of an interesting thing, and it puts kind of an interesting idea in my head. What if this had a 150cc GY6 engine that had its belt drive trimmed from the motor and adapted to work with the swing system that this bike would have had? I don't know if it's going to fit or not, but I'm kind of toying with that idea. But yeah, nice bike, nice looking bike, stock like this. Now, what I like to do with these bikes is turn them into like a hot rod, where I'll trim the fender in a pleasing line to make good lines out of that fender, so it's like a short fender, like bobbit. I think you'd call it a bobbit. Usually don't run a front fender, and I change the front end on these, but I might just keep this looking like this. But yeah, I got some pictures. Why don't you guys take a look at a few of the pictures I have of the old bikes I used to build. The yellow and gray 40T hardtail, which I put in the mag rims that would have come on a later bike. Real nice bike. And take a look at that. And then the blue ones, I actually made a dozen of these bikes, 12 of these bikes with the bobbed fender, different front ends, and varying degrees of performance engine on them. I can take the stock motor in one of these and make this bike break 50 miles an hour on 50cc. You just change up some porting, a little couple of exhaust mods, and a different carburetor gets you pretty much to 50. But yeah, I got this bike. And we got some parts boxes. A lot of goodies in here. Some good bottom end. This is that clutch that they use. It's a clutch with actual clutch pads or shoes that engage this outer drum. And then as the RPMs increase, there are 4 ball bearings in here that act as weights that will close this pulley, pivot the engine. There's actually a spring that allows the motor to pivot. That's that there. And as it closes this variator, it effectively enlarges the pulley, and that makes you have higher gears, lower gears, so you have the low end power to climb a hill, but you can cruise down the road at 30 miles an hour without it winding out. Nice parts thing. Really rare. These plastic covers are really hard to find. I think this is the second one I've owned out of literally, I made a dozen of these bikes. I'd have to say out of probably 40 I've owned, you know, most being parts bikes. This is only the second one of those I've had. Also, these side covers can be a bit hard to find. And we got another motor. This would be a slightly older engine. It's got that damaged crank, so I don't know if we'll be using much of that. I got an old bottom end. Now, on these bikes, you can't just go to your local bike store or parts place and get gaskets, so you have to make gaskets. This is an old bottom end that I use to make gaskets. What I'll do is I'll put dye or Dykem or grease or something over this area here, some gasket paper, put that down. I hit it with a hammer. You can actually see I've hit it so much making gaskets that I've oblonged the hole, but it doesn't matter. But that's how I make gaskets for the base gasket for the cylinder. And then I have another one, same thing. This is the gasket between the two case halves, and I'll do the same thing, Dykem or grease or ink or whatever you got that'll transfer, and then you hit it. I hit it there with a hammer to transfer that pattern. Kind of a neat little trick. But what else we got going on? I believe this cylinder is the cylinder off of this bike, and you look at these threads. They use the bung, and it's pretty chiseled. I don't think that cylinder is going to come back. There's some patches you can do with springs or hose clamps, but nothing really seems to work. Extra piston and rings that would have gone to that cylinder. Same with the head. So, anyways, like I was saying, I'm not sure if I'm going to really even bother dealing with the Motobecane engines. I might actually do a neat project later down the line where I've always wanted to put one of these motors on like a bicycle somehow. But anyways, yeah, we got a neat little project. We'll see if we can get a 150 GY6 engine on that, guys. Anyway, we got a superscoot down there, got Forky back up here. I wanted to put this Motobecane up here. We're not going to be playing with this today, but I just wanted to show you guys my plan for this bike. So the pivot. Flashlight. The pivot for the variated engine pivots on these two little bushings right here. Bolt goes through and it goes through the head. So what I'm thinking, kind of a neat idea I got rolling around, is this is the old superscoot engine we changed last year. This engine still runs just fine. Leaks a little oil, and the magneto here is trashed. Wasn't charging anymore. Yeah, so what I'm thinking is using this engine in the Mobylette over there. So these are variated. These are called dual variated, where the Motobecane is single variated. That's why the engine moves to make up the slack in the belt or to add slack in the belt. Dual variated will have that variator in the front, like we saw on the motor for the Motobecane, and then there'll be another variator back here, much like a snowmobile driveline, whereas this centrifugal force is pushing this pulley together, making the belt ride further out, just like you're on a 10-speed bike. The bigger the front sprocket and the smaller the rear sprocket, the higher the gearing. As this one sucks the belt tighter, it opens this pulley up and sucks this one further in. So what I'm thinking is all of this is a dry case. If we can possibly look in. You really can't see anything in there. This is a dry case. There's no fluids in it except in the final drive back here, which we don't care about. So what I'm thinking, if you look in there, you see the bottom of the block. Well, if I cut, just with whatever, a saw, I'd probably even use a sawzall with a big enough blade, and just cut this final drive right off, this engine ends up being a little longer than my hand is. It would end up, it's echoey, it would end up being cut right on the other side of this flywheel, so it would only be from the valve cover to here long, which isn't a whole lot bigger. I mean, it's definitely larger than the Motobecane motor, but I think I could adapt that, and it's dual variator, acted as a single variator on that system. And then, like I was saying, there's a final drive back here, but there's also the final drive of the big sprocket and the moped chain. So it would effectively, if I could mount that motor here somehow with probably a subframe, and it has the same belt drive pulley, hopefully you guys can see the pulley, I should be able to adapt that dual variated GY6, Chinese GY6 engine to work with that bike, and then we'd have an old school looking moped that has the performance of the superscoot. Now I can't imagine that power in that old bike, So I can't imagine it. So we're gonna do it. But anyways, yeah, let's play with the Super Scoot a little bit, and I'm gonna go enjoy it. Well, alright guys, that's about it for today. Gonna go play on it a little more out in the woods, I think. Go try out this knobby tire. But yeah, awesome. Until next time guys, sorry about the sun. Until next time guys, keep it out of the cabbage.